It's time to show you the world's least remembered Pokemon spin-off game, Diglett. Here's the manual. You play as Diglett. Yeah, we got that. This Diglett does not attack in this game, however it has a dream of collecting all of the Pokemon League badges and defeating the Grand Master. To do this, it must travel to various areas and survive the attacks of the resident Pokemon. 69 individual Pokemon species feature. Nice. One Diglett? Yeah, I thought so. Almost all of the rest are out to get you. I wrote this manual as if anyone other than me would ever play this game. Yeah, you don't need a password for the first level. Diglett is a game in which you play as Diglett, moving left and right and kind of down. You can duck down. And that's all. You pick up berries for more stamina. The stamina depletes whilst you're down, so you can't duck down much, but you need to duck down to avoid the other Pokemon that are attacking you. I don't know why the other Pokemon are attacking you. I don't know what they've got against Diglett. Picking up a Pokeball gives you an extra, you could call it extra life, but it's an extra hit point. Getting pretty low on stamina. There we go. The Pokemon go crazy when it's coming up to the end of the level when the boss is about to turn up. And here is the boss, and it's Pidgeot on the plains level. It attacks you with these gusts that are so superbly illustrated. I guess you'd call this a game of endurance. Diglett is going through various scenes with many rival Pokemon and avoiding all of their attacks. Most of them are attacks where they try and physically lunge at Diglett, ram Diglett with their body, but there's special attacks too. This is the first level, and so it's relatively simple. You see Pidgeot got tired and fell down from the sky, and Diglett has earned the Rainbow Badge. Enter. And we're in the city now. The password is there in case you lose and want to get back to that level. What a beautifully illustrated city. This game is made on software called Click and Play, and if you're at all familiar with Click and Play, I'm sure you will have recognized it from the setup of this game by now. I made loads of games on Click and Play as a child and teenager, and this is the only one I can still find, and that might be for the better. It was freeware. I think it was technically freeware if you were a school. So I actually made this game at home, but I got my home address registered as a school with the local district council, employed a few teachers, passed the Ofsted test, registered about 800 students and educated them to GCSE level, so that on the installer menu for Click and Play I could tick the little bit where it said, yes, I am a school, and then I could just use it for free. Sadly, Ditto doesn't transform into Diglett. It'd be great if it did, but I do like the effect where Voltorb just kind of smushes over the Ditto. Electrode has kind of glitched off the screen. Oh, it's on now. So the boss of this level is an Electrode floating around and firing electricity bolts at you. That's not how electricity works. It's not how electricity looks. Actually, it wouldn't even have any effect on the Diglett. It does in this game. There is a bit of an argument that electric attacks shouldn't really hurt flying Pokemon because, well, there's birds on wires, that's the thing, but like you need to be grounded for electricity to work, so to kind of be the opposite of the setup they've actually programmed into the game. But if we questioned that, we'd also have to question why Psychic's good against poison, etc. You know, there's lots of, it's just game logic, we get used to it. Oh, Electrode's given up and it's exploded. Thunder Badge for you. Oh, we've got a minigame. So I threw the minigames in so there's time to kind of farm a lot of extra lives because you're gonna need them. This one has beautiful graphics. You are hatching Kakuna into Beedrill. So they string down from above and and you give it a bop. Oh, I missed. You gotta actually collide with the sprite. There we go. Hatched a Beedrill, and it's happy about that, flying away. Here's another one. I made loads of games in Click and Play as a child. They were probably all pretty shoddy. Oh, Shoddy's the name of a Pokemon fan game. Shout out to Shoddy there. There would be like multiplayer modes. I didn't have a friend, but they were slightly feasible multiplayer modes. They, I think they might have worked. And those I would program all of the music in MIDI. I would also draw the graphics, but you've been spared from that in this one because I've committed to using the preset Pokemon graphics with some tiny bits that I drew that really stand out. Notice how beautiful this beach looks. It's got the perfectly yellow beach bit and the perfectly blue top bit. I guess this is one of the later games that I made because it's almost competent, but there is no sound and no music, which was a choice because I usually wrote the music, and for this I just wanted to use official Pokemon assets. And really, I probably could have transcribed some Pokemon music or found someone else having done it online, and it's not like they can claim copyright on it, it's not their music either, but adding music and sound to a Click and Play game is more annoying than it's worth, really. You can trade in a certain amount of stamina for an extra hit point when it gets past that bar right there. So nearly all of the visuals are from Pokemon Emerald because it had those 2-frame sprites, and otherwise you've got these flat colours. There are little bits that I illustrated myself, but you can really tell. Tentacruel now, a beached Tentacruel is the boss at this level, with some little tentacles just popping up from underneath you. I think they are tracing where you are horizontally, and they're coming up there. Tentacruel's on a preset motion path. Psyduck, just a little cameo there. Hey Psyduck. It's a preset motion path, there's no AI to speak of. So basically every playthrough of the game is going to look the same, at least if you do well enough. And it got bored and it fell down into the ocean, I guess, and you got your Cascade badge. Into the graveyard now with some actual proper graphics. I remember this one. Yeah, check it out. Graveyard. The purple's screwed up a bit. For some reason, when you imported 256 color sprites, images into Click and Play, it didn't like purple. It would flatten purple down into a kind of grey. So anything purple, which there are a lot of purple Pokemon, I had to recolor them in purple, and you can see that I had to make some approximations in doing that. I think Drowsy's beams, I'm not gonna intentionally get hit by one, but I think they don't actually damage you, they just kind of slow you down for a certain time, or maybe stop you from being able to duck, which of course will get you very hurt. Most of it's going over my head anyway, but if you lose the ability to duck, you have to say, ain't a duck. There's Gloom. That Haunter is gonna hurt, yeah. Oh, don't know if you saw it, but jump back a tiny bit if you didn't. Look at the moon. The levels do get very busy. It kind of rewards hiding nearly all the time, but you can't hide nearly all the time, and it's not always the best thing to do. So Drowsy and basically all of the projectile ones, they'll fire a projectile based on where you are at the moment when the projectile fires out. Yeah, Gengar in the sky. It doesn't come down to hurt you, it kind of summons some different stuff. It sends up some zombie Odysseys. There's some of my own beautiful art there. I like the idea that this is a graveyard just for Odysseys. Oh, tiny Gengars. Let's say it's using Substitute. I've got a very complex strategy here. Look at the hit points bar, the graphics have glitched. I think Gengar kind of painted over it, because the life bar definitely goes further than that. I think it goes onto a second line. I don't know what the flame from the sky is all about, but I guess that would probably hurt if it hit me, even if I were down. And Gengar becomes a tiny Gengar and gets hidden behind the badge that I just earned. Ooh, another minigame. So, on the mountainside, I am picking up Pokeballs. Let's give it a go. I think this is a fast moving one. I do not know if I'm ready. Not too fast. It's like ski free. I guess getting hit occasionally is useful because it keeps you on the screen. I'm presuming that when I get to the bottom, and yeah. Bonus for reaching the bottom of the screen. The cave level now, with some actual detail on the surface there, you know, you can tell that this isn't some kind of beach, it's a cave, because it's got the rock stuff, and just noticed Zubat fired a supersonic or whatever that is, and it actually broke on Geodude. It didn't actually affect Geodude's behavior, but it shows that though these Pokemon all hate you, they all hate Diglett, they're not necessarily friends with each other. They've just really got it in for you. I guess invading their territory is just like in Pokemon games when you walk through the long grass. And Diglett itself isn't making any attacks, it is just a pacifist. I think Supersonic is a similar effect to the Drowsy thing, or it might mirror your controls, but I don't really want to find out. I am intentionally not getting hit. I mean, of course I'm intentionally not getting hit, but part of that is, to my memory, this game is pretty damn difficult. I think when I was when I was programming it, designing it, or whatever, I kind of made it to match my instincts for how difficult the game should be, but of course, I was getting better at this terrible game as I was designing it. I was developing those skills. But it looks like I might have retained those skills, or maybe it just wasn't ever that difficult. Rocks as well, coming down from the ceiling. The lesser known Pokemon Rock. Again, that still hurts if you're underground, because it's something coming down from above. You're not protected that way. Here's the boss with its many rocks coming down. Uh. You can tell that these rocks are falling down from some tracer object that's just off the top of the screen, and that's why they're like the tracer object is bouncing from left to right, and the rocks are falling down from where it currently is. I really need to take more care and pay attention to the game and stop talking, but it wouldn't be an entertaining video if I wasn't talking. Oh, am I kidding? It's not an entertaining video anyway. Alright, this has been a pretty painful level, especially whilst I'm underneath Golem's feet. Please, yeah, if you run out of stamina, it might happen to me at some point, then Diglett can no longer duck. And it's duck. The Safari Zone, there's some detail. And that stuff slows you down, or stops you from ducking. One of those things, it's gonna hit me at some point because there's so damn much of it. Yeah, Farfetch dropped the leak. I'd forgotten that. That's good. I hope it can pick it up again. It's kind of the defining object of Farfetched. I think by the looks of it, Farfetch drops the leak when it's right above you, so you have to move left or right. I mean, you don't have to, but if you don't, you're gonna get hit. You can probably interpret by now that a decent strategy for this game, outside of when the bosses are there, is stay away from the extreme left or right, because that's where the Pokemon spawn. I made a load of games with click and play, by the way, and I may one day be able to find them on some old rusting hard drives to hard drives rust, I don't know. I probably shouldn't, they won't be nice. So I kept this to only the first generation of Pokemon. I'm not a Gen 1er at all. I just felt, well, it leaves room for a sequel, and this game is set in Kanto, alright? Diglett is going around and collecting the 8 Kanto badges. Diglett itself is a Kantonian species. I mean, it does live elsewhere as well. It lives underground. In a Kanto that's kind of post the extinction of humans, I presume, by the looks of this game. I maybe should pronounce that Kanto. It was just whichever Generation 1 Pokemon have convenient 2-frame animations that I can make into a kind of motion sprite. That's how I decided which 69 Pokemon went into this game. So I had a look on the assets on Bulbapedia many years ago and just saw which ones were convenient and made use of those. Here comes the boss dropping loads of individual Exeggcute. Well, they're not even individual Exeggcute, are they? They're 1/6 of an Exeggcute. I'm taking a lot of damage here because I'm still getting slowed down, which makes it very difficult to avoid those. You can't duck them. And I'm nearly out of stamina anyway. Down with Exeggutor, that was a quick one. It's just dancing off the screen there. Let it go all the way. Bye. Of course, Diglett has to go to the disco. That's an essential part of any video game. Catch the falling Pokeballs. The alleged disco lights in the background are obviously just bouncing ball shapes, and I can remember them getting cluttered up at the side. There was some kind of glitch where they stayed around the Mr. Mimes. Again, there will be a tracer object off the top of the screen. Yeah, you can see that getting clutched up around that right side, Mr. Mime. There'll be a tracer object off the top of the screen, pinging left and right rapidly, and it will drop a Pokeball every now and then. Okay, we're on to level 7 already. It feels like I'm whipping through this game really quickly, but I'm sure it feels torturously slow to you. This is what a volcano looks like. Got a kind of wine red volcano. Suicidal Kabuto. I guess the post-human era that this set in still has the ancient Pokemon revived. They've just like repopulated. There's loads of Kabuto, enough of them to just fall down through a volcano every now and then. Oh, we got a Great Ball. Great Balls of Fire, eh? Since there's... Ooh, Rare Candy, that's definitely useful. I did not know what the Rare Candy did, but I got it, unless it despawned exactly as I got there. This is gonna hurt, because Magmar's just staying here, and it looks like the Ammonites trace where you are and start going up very slowly underneath, which, oh yeah, it's the same thing that we did with Tentacool. Yeah, later stages, more income with hit points and a lot more expenditure with hit points. The Rare Candy, I think it makes you temporarily invulnerable. That's a standard video game thing. That really could have done with some kind of visual effect to demonstrate that you're invincible for a bit. Even if just on the health bar, I should have done something. So many angry fire types. And yep, I'm out of stamina, so I'm going to take a lot of hits until I can get a berry. Rare Candy, it's not all that rare in this level, is it? The one other game I remember making that might be worth salvaging was called Jeremy Pac-Man. Now that's a very British reference, but there's a TV presenter, well, he was a political interviewer called Jeremy Paxman, and obviously it was a clone of Pac-Man, where Pac-Man is just a little Jeremy Paxman head. And oh, it looks like the boss is coming. Yeah, there's the boss, the first legendary Pokemon. I think this is the only legendary bird in this game. We don't cover all of the legendaries. Look at it firing from its stomach, its feet, its cloaca. It's not its beak. You know, it's not the first legendary Pokemon. I think Mew flies through in a previous stage, doesn't it? Maybe the first stage? I'm not even certain, but I think that happened earlier and I didn't notice it. You will take some hits. If anyone wants to do one of those speed runs of this where they never get hit, then let me know in the comments. Well, it wouldn't be a speed run because every playthrough of this game will take the exact same amount of time. This boss is easier than the level it's the boss of. So that's my 7th badge, which I think means, yep, we're on to the final normal level. Oh, I'm giving something away there. Oh, that's painful. Why did I animate it at that frame rate? I mean, it still wouldn't damage a ground type anyway, but it's still obviously going to. One of the ways you could have sprites move was as a bouncing ball pattern, and since there weren't many different things you could just choose like bouncing ball, all the way left, all the way right, or a custom motion path. Most of them were custom motion path, but I mixed it up a bit. Oh, it was on about Jeremy Pac-Man. So there were different Pac-Man levels for him, and the ghosts on each level were then significant figures in New Labour, Tory Party, and then I think the other level was just all the other parties. I think it did have Boris Johnson, who is of course a much bigger enemy right now, but at the time, it was under the Blair administration, so the final boss was Tony Blair, and that wasn't a Pac-Man level. It was a bit more like Space Invaders, that level, but with one big Space Invader being Tony Blair's head, and he would fire lies at you, which was just the word lies, and you would fire questions at him, like big questions would stream out of Jeremy Pac-Man's mouth as laser beams, and yeah, you hit him enough times and he's thoroughly interrogated. Just realised this last level's called the Rocket Base, which maybe implies that the humans are still alive, but I don't know, I think the way I see it is the humans are gone and the bad-natured Pokemon have taken over Team Rocket. These are the Team Rocket grunts. Victory Bell's looking a bit pale there. I'm not sure what Alakazam's projectile confusions do. Oh, it takes a load of stamina, that makes sense. Maybe it's disable. That probably wasn't intentional. So I did make a load of crappy platform games. The problem with platform games on this is you couldn't have a scrolling screen. You know, I think there was some kind of sequel to Click and Play that did have scrolling screens. I also, going back further in time, made a lot of games on Microsoft Visual Basic and Quick Basic, but particularly Visual Basic because that's not for video games. That is the Microsoft Software Design Suite, but I would play around with it and make something that was arguably a game. And there was one other kid at school who kind of did the same, and we would trade them on floppy disks. Floppy disks. Do you think if I get enough rare candies, Diglett will start to evolve? Well, Dugtrio, that's good timing. Dugtrio, you traitor. You are 3 Diglets, and you are ganging up against a singular Diglett. You should each know the plight of a Diglett. Frankly, how dare you? Frankly, how dare you? Okay, with a gap like that, it's got to be boss time now. The final level boss. Yeah, hey Nidoking. You're just gonna storm left and right a lot, aren't you? I think it starts stomping around as well. That's like it's one long motion path. Plenty of left and right, that must have been fun to draw, and the stomps. So it does not have AI. This is always the same every game. The only things that change each game the only enemies that change are those that bounce off Diglett. It's like, it's AI. You know, this Nidoking really should use Earthquake, because all Diglett can do is dig, and Earthquake hurts more when you dig. And the king is fatigued. It was always intended as that, the idea that Diglett is just enduring stuff and everyone else is getting worn out. Like, the Diglett is a pest through its perseverance. With all 8 badges, Diglett is deemed worthy to challenge Mewtwo's lair. And Mewtwo attacks with falling obstacles and horizontally scrolling obstacles. I do remember being a bit like lost for what to use in this level because I didn't want to illustrate my own graphics, not out of laziness, well, not just out of laziness, but also for the aesthetic of this game. I felt it should all be reused assets from the Pokemon games. That slowed me down. I know I did illustrate some minor stuff like that electric shock zap beam from Electrode and the zombie oddish and other crappy explosions, but it just didn't feel right drawing new things for this, and I guess I can't do like laser special effects, so I decided that Mewtwo's psychic power manifests as squares. This is gonna hurt. Yeah. I guess the only thing I liked drawing was pixel art, and there's no excuse in this game, is it? 'Cause this is all pixel art. Whatever, I didn't come up with any. So yeah, as the manual said, Diglett is a pacifist. Diglett has not attacked a single Pokemon thus far in this game, and we are at the end. So maybe this is some kind of political message, like saying, even when everyone else is resorting to violence, you can win without resorting to violence. You know, I'm not sure I believe that. Let's punch Nazis. Ooh, what Pokemon attack would you use on a Nazi? Let me know in the comments. I'm interactive now. Right, this current attack is a particularly nasty stream. I'm taking a lot of hits, but you know, I probably have enough hit points to get through to the end now. I'm quite proud of myself with this. I've not touched this game in many years, and I remember it being too difficult. So this is my first take. Apparently it's not too difficult. I'm getting through it. I didn't need to cheat. There are cheats. I mean, you can abuse the password system. There's not really programmed cheats, but those are based on your own movement, which does seem like it could be a difficult obstacle, but if you just face the same way for long enough, it despawns. Yeah, I probably had cheats programmed into it whilst I was making and testing it, so that whenever I did a test run, I could get away with stuff. But there's definitely password exploits. You could just keep on putting in the password for the bonus levels and keep getting more and more health, and then go back to the level you were just on. Okay, yeah. Slowball's gonna get me. You know, I think I wouldn't be surprised if I paid attention to the sprite scaling on every single Pokemon. Like, I studied what their species standard height is, and I'd like set an in-game scale where they would basically be that. You can tell Diglett's pretty small. And Mewtwo's backing down it's onto the final shove. With a different Mewtwo sprite and a Carbas bottle? Well, I got the Master Ball and I'm bopping it up into Mewtwo. And, oh, sure enough, it looks like Diglett has caught Mewtwo. Wow. Using its awesome new Pokemon, Diglett took over the world or something. That's the game.